Let's speak now to Dr. James Smith, an emergency doctor and a lecturer on humanitarian policy at University College London. Good to have you with us, Doctor. The latest killing of this MSF worker just adds to this alarming death toll of health workers who have been killed by Israeli forces since its war began almost 2 years ago now. What's your response to this continued targeting of health and aid workers by Israel?
I think we have to be very clear here that Israel's self-declared strategy is the ethnic cleansing of Gaza and of Palestinians, certainly from the north of Gaza towards the south, and then from Gaza altogether. And one such tactic to deliver on that strategy is not only the direct killing of Palestinians, but of course the destruction of the entirety of Gaza's healthcare system. And this is a strategy that Israel has deployed over the course of the last 2 years, amplifying the direct effects of its military violence, insofar as when it injures and targets individuals, they are taken to hospitals, where those hospitals themselves are targeted or deprived of the means they require to support those people. And of course, the Palestinian healthcare workforce has been systematically targeted. 1,722 Palestinian healthcare workers killed as of the 5th of September of this year. Healthcare Workers Watch Palestine has reported that a further 16 healthcare workers have been killed in September alone. 562 humanitarian workers killed, including the highest number of UN workers killed in the history of the United Nations. That there is no one with any credibility who can say that this is not intentional and systematic targeting of frontline healthcare and humanitarian workers.
And Doctor, you were actually a part of the global Sumud flotilla that was bound for Gaza. I'm wondering if you can give us your thoughts about what's happened, not only with the Israeli interception of the flotilla, but the fact that hundreds of activists are now being holed up in an Israeli prison in the middle of the desert.
Well, the flotilla participants, our friends, colleagues and comrades, were illegally detained, effectively kidnapped and taken to Israel, where they're now being held illegally in detention. Many are now on hunger strike, refusing to take food from the Israeli state. What we're seeing here is a groundswell of Palestine's solidarity actions and the wider struggle for a liberated Palestine. Not just the flotilla, but as you've reported just now, protests that are intensifying the world over. The general public has consistently and is increasingly voicing its discontent, not only at Israel for its genocide, but for towards all of those states that have acted to enable Israel's genocide. Of course, those who have been detained must be immediately released, but this is also an important moment to draw attention to the more than 10,000 Palestinians who are being kept in abject conditions, detained by the state of Israel, many of whom are children.
And Doctor, one of the main things that this flotilla has achieved was drawing more attention to the humanitarian crisis that's happening in Gaza right now. As you pointed out, a groundswell of people from across the world are now rallying on the streets in support of the Palestinians and against Israel's assault on them. Do you see the tide changing in terms of the government response to Israel's ongoing war? We know that a growing number of Israel's Western allies have declared support for a Palestinian state, but is that enough in your view?
The short answer is no. Of course, Palestinians are best placed and should be answering such questions. But what we've seen really over the course of the last 2 years is a rhetoric of condemnation from politicians, at best in most cases, and political performance, really. Italy and Spain sending naval vessels to accompany the flotilla only to disappear when they had a moment to confront the Israeli military. Of course, these states have obligations under the Genocide Convention, and they will be very well aware of those obligations. They are the ones that should be breaching Israel's illegal blockade of Gaza. But of course, they don't want to do that. And therefore, it's left to citizens of the world, crews of 6 to 12 participants in tiny sailboats, to try and do that work themselves. States have failed. And that's why really it's important that we say that, yes, of course, Israel is directly committing genocide against the Palestinian people, but this is everyone's genocide. All of these states that have failed to act, they are committing genocide against the Palestinian people.
Okay, Dr. James Smith, we'll have to leave it there, but thank you again for joining us on the program.